Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I'm excited to share with you a first look at the 6th Panzergrenadier Division, a new German division available in the upcoming LANDJUT DLC. Let's jump on in. Just to note, what you see today is a work in progress and therefore subject to change. We're going to go through all of the units and I'll put together a quick deck. So starting here with the logistics tab, we have ourselves the M113A1 munition. It is an armoured supply vehicle, 600 supply, 25 points, 10 on a card. Do have smoke if you need it in a pinch. Not too bad. Then we have the MAN 630. This is a decent truck with 1,500 supply, 50 points, 4 on a card. You actually have 2 cards available of these, which is nice. 90 km/h on road, 75 km/h off road. Then we have the UH-1D, which is a supply helicopter with 750 supply, but there's no ECM, only 6 health. You're not going to be using this anywhere near the front line. It will probably just get one tapped. Then we have the M577 GA2, which is your armoured command vehicle. 2 on a card with 40 points each. These cheap command vehicles are probably useful in 1v1, but for like team games, having low availability on the card is not ideal. But either way, 55 km/h off-road, 75 km/h on-road. It's alright. Then we have the helicopter, which you actually get 3 on a card for 60 points. But this only has 4 health, 195 km/h speed, and no ECM. So a very easy target. It will get sneezed on by artillery and blow up, and it will also not take a missile. It's just very easy to kill. Finally, we have the Fuchswufu, which is potentially a nice choice because it's much faster. It's still got like the same armor as the M577, so I kind of like it for that. It's also got smoke, so if it gets called out, you can kind of smoke and run. It does have a little bit less health, but yeah, the speed, the smoke, the armor, it's solid. Only thing that lets it down again, availability. Finally, there is the option to bring the Felddepot. Moving on to the infantry tab, we have ourselves MG3 teams, which are not as good as they used to be like a while ago, but they're still decent fire support in the right position. 4 strength, 15 points, 12 on a card. Then we have the Feldjäger. Now these get the choice of Iltis. They get the TYP 181 Feldjäger, which is a nice military police car. I love these little cars and stuff that they add on the side, because you've also got the Volkswagen in there as well with the sirens on it. Really interesting extra units that they wouldn't need to add, but they do anyway, which is super cool to see. Either way, both the Type 181 and the Volkswagen have military police traits, so you can use them to like follow around tanks and stuff to give the suppression regeneration bonus. Then we have the Marine Sicherungs. These guys have the security trait, so when they're stationary, their optics goes from normal to good. And we have the Resolute trait as well there, which is fantastic. You can also upbear these, which is something that you normally can't do with the Sicherungs. So, yeah, interesting. 10 G3s, MG3, and a Carl Gustav M2. 750 meter range on the AT with 16 pen and 60% accuracy is nice. That's a solid squad. Then we have the Panzergrenadier. These are in many different divisions, but 4 G3s, MG3, Panzerfaust Red Eye. Decent leader, lacks smoke however, but can be brought in with the Marder 1A2 and the Marder 1A2 Milan, which are nice choices, and of course the Iltis. Then we have the Deckungsgruppe, which is a 6-man squad with no AT option. So just 2 G3s, 2 G3 marksman rifles, and the 2 MG3s. It's like a unit that's supposed to be doing more damage against infantry at range, but ultimately without any sort of AT, they're probably just going to be let down. I guess the best thing that these are used for is to bring in their transport, not the MAN 630, which does look like a cool track. I like the design on the front of it, but the Marders, particularly the Marder 1A2 Milan. This is a nice cheap combination to bring in Marder 182 Milans, and those can be very useful with the Milan ATGM. Then we have the Panzervernichtungsgruppe. It's a 6-man squad with 2 Panzerfaust 44s. I guess in combination, you have these guys alongside the Deckungsgruppe, then you're starting to have a nice sort of mix and a high availability as well, since you do get 9 on a card of each of these with no vet. They do also have the IFE infantry traits. They work well next to the Marders, which also have the IFE infantry trait. And IFE infantry trait basically makes you take less suppression when you're nearby an IFE. So it's a nice combo, actually. Like if you were to bring both of these and then combine them, like you bring in one of each when you're pushing into places. Then we have the Panzergrenadier with the M113s. This is a nice squad, 9-man squad, 8 G3s, MG3, Panzerfaust 44. Panzerfaust 44 lacks a little bit on the damage side, but it's still decent because of its accuracy. So you're going to be getting some nasty side shots occasionally. But the truck is an option, aside from the M113s, of course, one of which can be brought in with the Milan. There's also the option to bring in with the helicopter. So nice transport options for sure. Next up we have the standard Panzergrenadier, 35 points, 4 G3s, MG3, marksman rifle with the Panzerfaust there as well. 35 points can be brought in with the Marder 182 and the Marder 182 Milan with the MAN truck there as well. Yeah, these are in a lot of divisions, but you can get 4 cards of them in this one. Then we have the Heimatschützenjägerführer. These guys are pretty nice, actually. It's a 10-man leader squad. For 55 points, you get 3 on a card, and you have smoke grenade. So they're quite resilient, honestly. They're not going to do anything in combat, right? They're going to get killed by any vehicles that come across them because they have no AT. They don't have any AA or anything. But for 55 points, it's a solid leader squad for sure, if you can keep them out of contact. M113, M113 Milan are choices as well if you want some extra ATGMs. There's also the standard Heimatjägers, which are 40 points, reserve, trait, for G3, A4, MG3, Carl Gustav, M2. A great squad if you have military plays with them, but otherwise you may struggle. I think, honestly though, the way I look at this so far, I really want to just build like a man spam deck for like team games. Because you can run Deckungsgruppe, Vernichtungsgruppe, we can run triple Heimatjäger. There's 3 cards of these, plus some Feldjäger. And you're looking at a really solid amount of good infantry. M40 recoilless is an option. 17 penetration's nice. The main thing that lets these down is their accuracy, but if you put them, like, double them up, they can be very effective. And then you got the Milan 2. Which has always been effective. 24 pen, 2,450 meter range, 50% accuracy. The range is a little bit short for an HGM, but you can bring them in with HGM carriers. So the M13, there's the Marder 182 Milan, and there's also the Fuchs Milan, which is another nice choice. Pretty fast. Lacks stealth though, big time. All of these vehicles really lack stealth. So whilst they do have HGMs, range is the only thing that is helping them stay alive. Then we got the Pioneers, so the Pioneer Führer, which is a 5-man team with Carl Gustav M2 and Shock Trait. Generally, you don't want your leaders like in combat. You could have like plenty of these Heimatjägerführers just like spread out behind your forces, but you don't need them actually in combat. So a lot of the time this is negligible. The only time that it's useful is like if a Recon vehicle gets around the back, or maybe a helicopter is flying overhead, then you could use an AA or something. Regardless, Pioneer Führer can use the Fuchs. So they've got the Fuchs and the Fuchs Milan. Then there's the Pioneer with the Flammepatron, hand Flammepatron. This is a really nice napalm weapon. So yeah, pretty big fan of these. For 45 point shock trait, this does a decent amount of damage to infantry. Good anti-infantry option. Then we got the Pioneers with the Carl Gustav, another really nice solid option because they're a shock trait infantry squad with AT. So they can kind of fight well against other standard infantry at close range, whilst also having the AT capability. And then finally, we have the Strandmeister. Okay, 2 Uzis. the G3A4, MG3 and satchels with resolute shock trait. A very interesting squad setup. You're obviously going to want to run on top of the enemy to get the shock and satchel working. Great in towns where you can like move on top of the enemy. Interesting squad. And I love their white helmets. Not obvious at all. Alright, well, pretty thick infantry tab, but to be expected, it is a Panzergrenadier division after all. And moving on to the artillery, we have the Tampala, which is a 120mm mortar. After the artillery rework will be a little bit better on the HE side, still just as useful on the smoke side of things. I don't know if something like the 105 here is going to perform much better with the artillery rework, but we'll have to wait and see. Regardless, 1.87 HE with 10k range, it's alright, nothing special. The only benefit of these is that they're cheap. Otherwise, you're better off just going for like 155mm, so yeah, this 155 is pretty nice with the 3.1 HE at 25km range. We got Panzermörser, which is a great mobile mortar option. So 120mm mortar in an armored hull, which is nice to avoid counter battery. Then there's the Lars, which has always been a very underwhelming rocket launcher, but you get 2 on a card, and there's 2 cards in this, so you can use them a lot. The best use I've ever seen the Lars for, like been used for, is just suppressing an enemy before you attack. Because they don't actually have much damage themselves. So it's not like you just like wipe out a tree line with rocket artillery before you move in, and then there's nothing left. It's more like you are reducing their cohesion, and then you engage, and you win because you have the accuracy bonus, right? Or at least not the accuracy like modifier. So M109A3, another 155mm. Just the self-propelled version of this gun, basically. FH70. So same stats, just extra price, extra 100 points actually. Now look at it. It's actually quite expensive upgrade. I think they might have nerfed the price on these. And then the 230 as well. I think this used to be like, this would have been like 190 points before, but either way, 175mm gun. 3.3 HE at 35km range. That is a long range gun. But yeah, pretty nice. Alright, moving on to the tanks. We have the Heimatkanon Jagdpanzer. They're a 40-point unit. Reserve trait. Does have smoke. 14 pen at 1,925m range is not very good. And 35% accuracy is trash. The rate of fire is okay though. It's going to be useful for like infantry fire support and killing light armor, or like sort of if you're running into like a spam of BTRs or something, it could probably be useful. Either way, relatively fast. I mean, 60km/h off-road, 75km/h on-road, not terrible. And we're moving on to the Jaguar. So we got the Jaguar 1 with the 22 penetration at 2,625m range, 50% accuracy, and then the ITO on the Jaguar 2, which is 25 pen at 2,625m range with 65% accuracy. I mean, the Jaguar 2 is always just that straight upgrade that you want to get. It's a nice system, the TOW2 in WARNO, very strong indeed. Then we got the Leopard 1A 1A1s. So this is the leader variant of this one. So 17 pen at 1,925m range with 55% accuracy. You're getting the extra accuracy on the leader because it has the extra veterancy, so just bear that in mind. But otherwise, yeah, Leopard 1A 1A1, it's okay if you're using it at the correct range. 9 front armor, good penetration for the price. But yeah, you will have to close range. 55km/h off-road, 75km/h on-road. You do also have access to the 1A2A1 as well, which has slightly less armor. You've got 1 less frontal armor. Model's looking completely different on the top there. You can see the turret changes, which I assume is the difference. Pretty cool. I like how they add the different models for sure. Like, again, it's another thing where you like think, oh, maybe they didn't need to, but yeah, I like it. Anyway, 1A2A1, 1A1A1, and then the 1A1A2, which gets a slightly better gun. So we're moving to 18 pen over 17 pen, which again, really good value for money. 95 points for an 18 pen gun is pretty scary. So don't scoff at those, even though they're not like super high class. All right, moving on, we have the Recon tab. So we have ourselves the Green Archer. And this now has a new trait. So before, these would just be like exceptional optics units. But we can now talk about the counter battery radar, which basically reveals enemy artillery the moment they fire, if they're in range. Actually, I'm not sure if there's like a range on this, actually. I haven't tried it out. But regardless, when an enemy artillery fires, if you got one of these on the map, you can figure out where they are, and you can counter battery nice and quick. So these are going to be actually really useful, especially in 10v turns and larger team games. These are going to be crucial. Anyone not moving their artillery is going to get smacked very quickly. All right, moving on, we have the Heimat Aufkleider. So 45 points for a 9 strength, very good optic recon squad. That seems pretty nice, honestly. Yeah, I like it a lot. And then the Aufkleider is just the 4-man squad with the Panzerfaust 44. In terms of transport options, these just come in the smoke. The Aufkleider, they have the Fuchs and the helicopter as an option, but usually you probably just use them with the Iltis. I guess the Fuchs is fine for an MG3 fire support unit. And there's the BA-105, very good recon helicopter. Very good optics recon helicopter. I wouldn't say it's a very good helicopter because it does get shot down very quickly. But it's a nice recon to have in a pinch. And bear in mind that having a helicopter sort of gets past line of sight in some cases where otherwise you wouldn't see stuff from the ground. A drone, another rocket drone, CL-289. Very interesting piece of kit, honestly. It's just a literal rocket that has a camera. In reality, I think it would have to come back and then they would get the footage off it and be able to review the footage, but in game it just works like recon. Interesting thing. And then we got the DO-28D. Look at this. Again, another unit that didn't need to be added to the game, but it's so cool to see it here. And I guess this is one of the things I really like about Eugen Systems games in general, like especially like Steel Division 2. Like when they added so many of the World War II units you just never really think of. But this is just another one of those. 60 points for a recon aircraft, 650 km/h speed. It only has 6 health though and no ACM, so it is an easy target. Kampfschwimmer, cool. Special Forces unit, 6 strength, 3 MP5 SDs, 2 HK21 light machine guns, plus the G3 marksman and the satchel charge. So going to be good at taking on enemy infantry at close range whilst providing very good optics, because they do have the Special Forces shock trait. They come in the MAN or the Sea King even, which is a cool helicopter to see. Like it. Yeah, very awesome. All right, then we got the Luxe 1 with the 20mm. And there's also the Iltis Milan with the Milan 2. So 2,450 meter range with the 24 pen on a 3-vet forward deployable car with Special Forces traits. So it's actually faster than 100 km/h as well. Yeah, this could actually be really, really useful for picking off stuff early on. It's going to be a bit more resilient because of the Special Forces trait as well. All right, moving on. We have the 20mm as AA. Can be useful for like attacking infantry. And of course, like if helicopters get in range, then you can take those down too. 25 points, 10 on a car, it's not too bad. And then you got like the Zwilling, which is a twin version. I feel like the models on these has been changed slightly. Or maybe quite a lot, honestly. They look kind of different. And they look good, though. I like it. Very cool. Very cool indeed. There's also the Bofors. Bofors, it's alright. Like, honestly, the damage is a little bit lacking. You're going to get a lot more DPS out of something like this. Then we got the Flakerfaust with the red eyes. 4 HE, 2,650 meter range. Gepard, always been solid against helicopters. You do need large numbers to take down aircraft with them. But 85 points, do have smoke. Yeah, not terrible. Not great either. Then we got the Roland. So this is a Roland 3 system on wheels rather than on tracks. So yeah, decent AA. But you will need to manage the radar on it to just stop it getting killed by seed, because I mean this thing has no survivability whatsoever. Don't get it near enough to the front line to be shot at by anything, because it will die if sneezed on. Yeah, 3,000 meter range versus helicopters though, 4,425 versus aircraft with 60% accuracy is pretty nice. And I guess the only thing that lets it down is it fires 2 and then it has to reload, but otherwise it's okay. Alrighty, helicopter tab, BO-105s. Hot 1s or Hot 2s are your options. Both are on helicopters with 4 health and no ECM. But really useful in a pinch when there's a bit of a breakthrough potentially and you need something to clean it up. These ATGMs will do the job. Like a 24 pen at 2,625 meter range with 65% accuracy is nice. I don't think I'd bother with a Hot 1, but the Hot 2 is definitely worth having. Right, moving on to the air, we have the F-104G. So it comes with the 2 454 kilogram bombs. These fly high and fast, so 1,200 kilometers per hour speed with 10% ECM. I like M104s, or F-104s, sorry, because they kind of stay out of range of AA a lot, whilst still being able to deliver their payload. So yeah, nice unit for sure. And then we got the Tornado IDS, which has the cluster. So 4 264 kilogram cluster bombs. It's not a massive payload, to be honest. It's a bit lackluster. You're not really going to be killing things with that, if I'm honest. And then there's also the Tornado IDS with the seed option. So 2 seed missiles, which have 5,450 meter range with 65% accuracy. Decent seed aircraft, to be honest, because this does have 50% ECM with 1,125 kilometers per hour range, or speed, sorry. This one only has 40% ECM, although 40% ECM is still really good, but yeah, the payload kind of sucks. And we have ourselves a Phantom, the RF-4E, 6 227 kilogram bombs. Again, payload kind of sucks, honestly. 30% ECM, decent speed, again, is nice, but yeah, it just doesn't really fit the bill. And then we have some Danish aircraft, the F-16s. Well, obviously the F-16 is an American aircraft, but under command of the Danish. And you have, in this case, 2 AIM-9s and 4 AIM-9Ns. So the AIM-9L has 5 HE, 2,125 meter range, 3,800 against aircraft with 60% accuracy, so nice missile. The AIM-9N lacking a little bit in damage, but still going to be useful for shooting down helicopters. And then you've got the second variant, which is switching out the AIM-9Ns for AIM-9Ls. This is more of your air-to-air loadout, making sure you've got that extra accuracy to negate ECM, and then you've also got 5 HE per shot. So yeah, this is a good dogfighter. And then 30% ECM with the speed is nice as well. Just getting it close might be a bit difficult against aircraft which do have nice longer range capabilities. So do bear that in mind. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, this seems pretty strong infantry-wise. It's going to be like an infantry arty division, similar to the 2nd Panzergrenadier, which makes sense, I guess. Let's go ahead and throw together the deck, though. I think this is a deck where artillery is quite important, so I am going to bring in a fob, and we'll bring in the Fuchs, and then I think I'm just going to do 2 cards with these trucks. Infantry-wise, I'm definitely going Heimatjägerführer. I think that's the choice. If I want them with a Milan M113, though, is the question. I might bring someone with just a truck, so we have like decent speed, and then this one can come in with like a slower ATGM. I'm definitely going to do Deckungsgruppe, Vernichtungsgruppe, and these can both come with Marder 180 Milans, and we'll upvet them even. And whenever I'm bringing these in, we're going to bring them in pairs, so we'll do like 1 Deckungsgruppe and 1 Vernichtungsgruppe. I'm definitely going to bring in the Marine Sicherungs. These are good. We'll bring in the Pioneer with the Carl Gustav and the Strandmeister. I kind of like the Pioneer. We want Milan 2s. And then Heimatjäger. But I would bring more of these, but we don't have space for the Feldjäger if I'm bringing all of these other squads. Do I upvet these? Those come upvetted anyway. I reckon you can probably get away with upbetting most of this stuff, if I'm honest, because you have so much of it. I think we're going to keep these at 9 strength. We got good close range infantry. Yeah, I like it. I think that's fine. All right. Panzermörser, for sure. I think we're going to go double M107 with towed M155s. And then tank-wise, the tank tab's actually quite substantial. I could run 7 commands instead of 9. Actually, that would be 10, wouldn't it? It'd be 10 instead of 7, but yeah, I think I can probably drop that. Maybe I bring in the Feldjäger with that little new truck. Interesting. Okay, yeah, so we'll bring in the leader, and then we'll do these for sure. And then I guess just these, plus a Jaguar. That might be okay. I'm just worried about availability a little bit. We'll leave it like that for now. Kampfschwimmers, definitely bring those. I'm going to bring those forward deployable Milans. I want to try this out. We definitely need the radar. This is a very expensive tab. Now I think about it, like the activation points are crazy on this tab. Right, let's just go AA first. So we do Gepard, Rolands for sure. I'm going to upbet the Rolands. Then we'll do Fliegerfaust and Zwilling. Heli is just going to be a BO-105, and then Air Tab. Do I want to run Seed? I mean, Seed's useful to have for your team if you're playing like team games. So yeah, probably going to bring it, and then we'll use the 2 sets of fighters. Right, that leaves us with 3 points, so I can probably bring in another Recon. Yeah, I think we're going to go Heimat Aufklärer. Sounds good. Okay. Whenever I'm adjusting the order of things, it's usually just to make it clearer when I'm in game which units are which. So I like to stack like my Pioneers together. I like to stack my like infantry that are military police plus reservists together, you know, so that when I'm in game it's a lot easier to mess around with. Anyway, 6th Panzergren, looking pretty good. Let me just go ahead and bring them up as the full division. There you go. The infantry looks super strong. You're going to struggle in the open, I think, with this deck because you're kind of lacking 80 gems. I guess what you could do, now I think about it, is make sure that these guys... Actually, I was going to say, like, where possible, bring as many 80 gem vehicles as possible. Which is kind of the case with the Model 182s. But yeah, you're probably going to struggle a little bit in the open with this deck. Otherwise, it's alright. And heavy tanks are also going to be kind of difficult to deal with, especially if I'm not bringing the cluster. So maybe I need to bring that just because. Hard to say. I'll have to play around with it and I'll adjust it as I go. But that's all for now. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this look at the 6th Panzergren. Very cool division. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.